So, last time we talked about log analysis and whatnot. Today we're going to talk about UIs and add-ons. There's some people that don't necessarily like these things, but honestly, they're an amazing tool to help you improve your game. Like, there's a lot of things you can do with UI. Things I'm going to be going over right now are going to be more so dealing with LVUI, but you do not have to do this. You can still get ideas from this for how to customize your UI to fit your play, but what I will be using will be involving LVUI tonight, as well as a few others, probably weak wars and exorcist rate tools. If you don't have them, it's probably a good idea to get them at some point, or at least exorcist rate tools and weak wars. They're both very, very, very valuable add-ons. Um, Generally, like when you're going to build a UI, you need to think of what you're needing it for. If you're raid leading, you probably want something that's going to have a lot more information. Like when I'm in a raid, I will have my grid over here on the right, so I can easily see anybody that dies. On the left hand side, let me bring up Exorcist. On the left hand side, I will have my boss. Actually, it's not Exorcist, it's Bigwigs. Silly me. On the left hand side, I will have over here, and I'll try to get into a queue actually in a moment and see if I can get like the bars popping up. But my regular messages pop up over here on the left hand side of the screen, and when an ability or something is about to happen, it happens in the middle, like gives a countdown and all this stuff. This way, I can easily anticipate what's coming, can call things for the raid, so on. Um, you can customize it any way you like, but putting them somewhere on your screen is really, really good. You can anticipate your cooldowns and whatnot that you need to use. There's a lot of different things that you can do with it. The more information you get coming in during a boss fight, the better you can actually make predictions of what you need to do or react to abilities that are incoming, rather than just playing blind and really not knowing what to do. I mean, even if you know the boss, it still helps to have reminders like this. And actually, that's a good idea. Thank you, Nerf Gun. The test bars. Well, it's not helping a whole lot, but like here, you see a little bar there with the ancestral guidance. That's not a boss ability, but that's essentially where all my bars are. And when it starts to get ready to happen, it pops up here, and normally there should be an announcement in the middle of the screen. Um, yeah, as you just saw there. The other things you can set to these things are noises, as you probably just heard a little beeping in the background. Setting some kind of noise for, you can do this with weak wars, you can do it with big wigs. For example, back when I first joined this guild, I was raiding on a laptop for like a couple weeks, and I was having a big issue because I couldn't see the stupid bombs on Thorgar, the train boss in Blackrock, because my laptop was crap and I had like 7 FPS, and literally the circles, instead of being circles, were just lightning bolts with no edges, and it was quite awful. And so to try to help me get out of it, I went in and I'll just give you the noise, I think, if I can find it here. And I set the alarm to, let me find it here, the barbecue ass one. It's kind of funny. It just, if you can hear it. Every time I stood in something, it screamed at me that. There's a ton of different noises you can use to set off triggers and whatnot. So it's not just visual cues, but you can also have audio cues to give you ideas on when you need to do something. Um, like it's really good for cooldowns, procs on trinkets and stuff like that. This is definitely something that you will want to get into, and I'm gonna go over this stuff a little bit more in depth. I'm just kind of giving an intro to all this stuff here. Game sound is super low. Okay. Yeah, it might be actually. If you can't hear that, then either way, it would scream at me, like when I was standing and stuff. This is something that we've used for a lot of different things, like in Blackrock when we were on, uh, well, Blast Furnace. Whenever somebody got fixated, it would give both a visual cue of, um, like a flash on your screen, icon over your head, it would end up saying it on your chat from bigwigs or deadly boss mods, and it would also play like a air horn to let you know you have something chasing you when you got fixated by the slag things. Let me see here, but more so like setting up a UI based off of your role is probably a good idea as well. Like if you're a healer, you might want to have your health bars more in the middle here or something, just because it's easier for you to watch everyone's health right here in the middle versus way off to the side. Because you can also watch your feet and see everything that's happening on your character. You can catch it in your peripheral vision and so on. Like the more stuff that you can put in the center of your screen. Like if you look at mine, I've got my health bar here, my target here, my target's down here a little bit. If I cast something, 2 cast bars are there. Everything is centered in the middle of my screen. This way I still see everything that's happening to my character, but I have valuable information like my health, target's health, and cast and stuff. That way I can see to interrupt things. Like I try to center my UI in the middle of my screen for the most part. If you look at like the default UI, they put your health bars way up in the middle, in the left part here, and it's just it's not as easy to look at in my opinion. Like you don't get all the information in one central area that you normally need. Um, Again, that's why I have like the bars off to the left hand side over here and up in the middle. I try to make sure that my gameplay and all relevant information to it is within like a general area here. So next thing I'm going to go over is Exorcist Raid Tools. This thing has all kinds of crap in it, and honestly, I don't even know a good chunk of it right now. There's a lot of it that you can do. One of the big things is raid cooldowns. Like if you're a healer or a tank especially, knowing these cooldowns is very important. Especially for a tank who needs like externals. For example, like pain suppression, iron bark, things like that. Like if you're tanking mythic, you're normally as a tank going to be calling for some kind of external when you don't have something you can use to mitigate damage yourself. So having a list of these is a really cool thing, which it's not going to show a whole lot here because I'm not in a group with a lot of those classes, but I'm going to go ahead and select ones that are for Shaman. Let's see here. I'm going to select Heroism. I'm going to select Ancestral Guidance, and I'll actually go with some of the resto stuff too. And I'll switch to resto so you can see what I'm talking about. It should be popping up. Might not have it. Oh, duh. Enable button. I believe. Give me 1 second. There should be somewhere. I don't know why it's not showing me. Give me 1 second, I'm trying to figure it out. Obviously, when you set these things up, a lot of time you end up forgetting how you set them up, and it can be a pain in the butt sometimes. So I'll just go with raid CDs. There we go. So you see over here on the left hand side, I've got like this list of things here. And again, I like to keep stuff towards the left. This gives me just a list of cooldowns. Like if I pop Spirit Link, it's going to give a bar, shows the duration of it, and you can change the cosmetics of this and whatnot so you can understand it easier, set it up to your UI. And it gets this little line here. It's a little hard to distinguish on the blue, but different skins of it, or not just skins, but appearances. I'll just use one of the other templates. As you see here, there's a bunch of them. Set it up like that. It gives you a timer. You can set it up with these. For some reason, it didn't copy it. Let's try it now. Yeah, there you go. There's tons of different ways you can set it up, but having access to these, especially as either a healer or tank, or even just a DPS for your DPS ring, there's other ways you can track it, though. There's weak ores for that. Some people may not be familiar with it, though. That's why I'm going over some of the stuff that might seem fairly obvious to others. So, using these add-ons, especially extras to trade tools, to put these things on your screen so you can have more information available is going to help you a lot with your gameplay. Because you, again, like I said before, you can anticipate things better. You can prepare for whatever. Like, you know what you have available, especially with the whole tanking idea. You know what cooldowns you have available, and you can plan better throughout the fight. Weak auras, my screen's going to get crazy in just a second here, because I have a crap ton of them. At least it should look crazy. Maybe it doesn't look as crazy as... Maybe it's because I'm not in a raid. Let's try that. Maybe it still doesn't matter. I don't know. Whatever the case, there's a crap ton of weak auras that I use for different things. And actually, that's what it is. I'm not in Hellfire. Let me go over to Hellfire real quick. I think that's it anyway. But as you see here, there's this long list of things. Like, I've got one for Archimon. I've got a radar for Archimon. On Archimon, when you get the Rock Chaos, the other things have this as well. Other boss mods. But over here, you get like a little radar that beeps, makes noises at me, changes colors depending on if I'm standing in Rock Chaos line or not. You can make weak auras for pretty much anything. Some people think it's a complicated add-on. Honestly, I haven't gotten into making my own just yet. Like, I've made some minor ones, but nothing real complex, like the radar thing. But there's all kinds of things you can do with it. Like, on my mage, I use... Was it there? No. On my mage, I use one for... I'm trying to see if I can find a damn thing. Oh, for my crystal. And I'll show you in just a second. Going in here. Like on my mage, I use a prismatic crystal weak aura just to make it a little bit easier so I can watch in the center of my screen and see. There's the craziness that I was talking about. This isn't all up at once. As you see, there's a crap ton of stuff here, but if you just select one, you can move where they're at. Like on Zol here, I've got chain icon, and back when we were progressing on it, I was on my mage, and when you get targeted with chains, like for our strategy, the mages would evanesce it to avoid the chain mechanic. To make sure that I didn't miss this, I had it go with like a big old air horn and whatnot. Let me see if I can actually find it. Where is it? And I'm not super familiar with where I set this stuff up before. But with weak auras, you can share them with people. You can essentially import anywhere. There's all kinds of them all over the internet. Whatever the case, it would make a big old noise for me, and I would know, oh, it's time for me to push my Evanesce button. It was just a mindless thing in the background that made it so I didn't screw up the simple mechanic while I was focusing on DPS. A lot of the reasons why these help you, like the dummy mods that just kind of give you extra notifications, is it takes away a lot of the extra focus stuff that you had, the extra things that take away your focus from things. Like, you normally want to know that your rotation as DPS fairly solid, but there are still things that you need to know, or at least watch for to make sure that you're doing optimal DPS. Which takes me back to when I was talking about the crystal. Like, it does a countdown here. Like, at about 0 seconds of my crystal left, I will use Presence of Mind to get another instant cast off of Arcane Blast. It just watching it there, it's a lot easier to gauge the timer of my crystal and how long it is up. This isn't a cooldown for it. This is how long my crystal is active. So, I can watch this and I can gauge how many casts I'm going to get on it and so on. There's also a weak aura that I have for Prophecy of Fear, the Mage Trinket. Well, not Mage Trinket, but predominantly Mage Trinket, because that's mainly who uses it. And whenever it procs on an ad, or anything, it puts a little... So let me see if I can find it. I should actually have that one here. If I don't, I will swap over to my mage for it. So people can see it, because it's actually helpful. Well, that's actually one for my warlock. When one of my trinkets proc, it's down here, so I know, okay, now's a good time for me to Chaos Bolt more, because I have extra crit. Same kind of thing with the mage one. I'll swap over there in a moment for it. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and... Is it here? No. I'm not sure where I put it. Whatever the case. It makes a noise for me. It puts another icon over here, roughly in this general area. And I know that I've got Prophecy of Fear proc on another target. That way, I can either tab through them if I need to, if I can't see exactly which one, or normally, I'm not at heavy fights, or whether it's not as out, I know it's on something relative. Like if I have my boss frames up on the right hand side here, which you can't see at the moment, I'll turn them on. You can actually it'll actually put the Prophecy of Fear on it there, and I can just click it and target it. Let me see here. Should be boss frame? Yeah. Like right over here. It's going to bug out a little bit. Not bug out, but look really chaotic. But boss frames are over here, and there'll be like a little Prophecy of Fear thing on there, but the weak aura will also be up here. There's just all kinds of things that help me know, okay, Prophecy of Fear is here. It's a big thing that I got to react to as an arcane mage, especially with missiles up. That way I can, do more damage, because that's what it does. It just makes me do crap tons of damage. One of the things that I was actually looking forward to covering tonight with UI stuff is, like, on boss fights in general, like, things like Gore Fiend, or... Actually, let me switch from Resto before I get myself killed for what I'm about to do. Like, on Gore Fiend, or any boss, really, with a bunch of ads, I noticed that a lot of people don't switch as quickly as they need to. And this could be a UI thing, because honestly, I didn't even use this feature until more recently. But you will notice on mine in a moment here. Like the nameplates. People use nameplates a lot, but you can change them a good bit. Like, I have mine set now for when they get low, it's going to get massive and just, well, unless I kill it too quickly. It should pop up with a large, the nameplate should get a lot larger when it hits a certain threshold. And hopefully it will happen here and I won't just kill it. Yeah, as you see there, it grows, it gets big. It's easy to target. You can target that nameplate just to click the ad. Like on Gore Fiend, when there's ads all over, and generally they're pretty low, it's a good thing to have because you can just target it real quickly, very easily. And for a Warlock or Hunter, anything with like an execute type thing, Shadow Burn, Kill Shot, things like that, it makes it easier for you to target them and find them. Because a lot of the time when you're looking for ads through there, it's really chaotic, especially if you don't have the nameplates on, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't, I highly recommend turning them on. You can change these features in LVI by going to the nameplates part. As you see here, the reason why I use LVI is you can customize like everything. Rather than using a crap ton of add-ons just to accomplish the same thing, this has a lot of stuff built into it, and that's why I use it. But if I go to the nameplates part, and you go to health bar, there's a little thing here called scale of low health. If you enable it, you can set the actual percentage up here, the low health threshold. Right now it's set to 40%. If you just want it to be larger when it's at, your execute range for whatever class you are, you can change it to that. Likewise, like certain classes, like a Moonkin, you have those long ass casts with Starfire and whatnot. Generally, you're not going to sit there and cast on something like a low health ad because you're never going to get your cast off on it in time. So for you might, instead of making it big, you might want to make it smaller. That way, it's just not clogging up your screen, and you can switch to something else. There's all kinds of things you can do with it, and let me see if I can show you guys. Like, it's simple with just the sliders here. Like, you see the health there. You can change them real big, small, long, short, whatever you want. Like, there's all kinds of things you can do with it. Trying to think here. And like when they're at low health, you can change the height and width of it as well. Like I have mine set to really large, just because I want to know it's not as big of an idea for Balto, just because I don't have the executes, but like on my Hunter and stuff, it's really helpful. And Warlock for Shadow Burn, Kill Shot, stuff like that. So if you play a class that does that kind of stuff, it's a good idea to have something that makes it easier for you to target it. Like, setting up your UI should pretty much be all about making your life easier and making essential tasks to accomplish a boss fight and really, uh, really do well in it and excel and not just skim by it. You, you want to set up your UI to help you accomplish all those tasks easier, which is why you do these kind of things, like with the raid buffs, stuff like that. It really will help you a lot to easily find the information you want. Setting up UI is at times very tiresome work. Like, you'll probably mess with it for quite a while. Like, one of the UIs that I built a while back, I think I spent an entire weekend working on it, and that's why I went with LVUI, just because there's a lot less that there's more to set up with it, but I didn't have to go find add-ons every time I need something different. Um, but as you've seen here, like I said, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it. You can, you can cover everything in here pretty much, and there's extensions for it as well. Trying to think here. There's something else I wanted to cover with it. So I went over weak ores briefly, went over your boss mods, and went over just general UI setup. As you see here, there's other weak ores and stuff. Like back when I had different trinkets, I had them all down here so I could see the timers on them, just so I could optimize things. And, hey, there's actually the icon that I use for whatever the hell it is. I just don't know where it is. It's somewhere in here. But another thing we use, like on C Team, we use the raid mark icon. Just if you put, let me go back in there, maybe it'll help. Like if you put a marker on you, it just puts a big old one on your screen. It makes it easier to know where you're going if you have a specific spot for certain marks or whatever. And it's not loading. That's wonderful. But I have a skull in my head right now. This question mark would turn into a skull up there. You can make it larger, whatever you need. You make it obvious. You make a sound with it, whatever. That way you can react quicker and not really have to think as hard with it. Like, I'm not saying thinking on this stuff's a bad thing, but when there's so much stuff going on in a boss fight, every second helps. And the quicker that you can determine what you need to do, the better off you're going to be. Like, a split second between moving, I'll use Gorefiend as another example. Split second on moving on Gorefiend with Touch of Doom. Like, if you're not moving out quick enough, you could end up killing your whole raid, because you're going to do a crap ton of damage to people. So, if you have a debuff here, and I think even on this weaker force, it makes a big old noise or something does. Like, either bigwigs or weak ores, they both set up sounds and whatnot for things. You can set them up there. Bigwigs, if you go in, I use bigwigs. You can use DBM or whatever, just some kind of boss mod. You can set up sounds for different bosses for whatever you want to do. Like, if there's a certain mechanic that you're having more of a hard time with, or something that you need to pay more attention to, you can, like I said, set up some kind of sound for it to alert you. You can make your whole screen flash red, all kinds of things with it. There's tons of different things you can do with them. Let's see. Like on here, you can do emphasize, you can set it to countdown, you can only make it when it targets you, this is for something in Blackrock. But, like, let's say, for example, what's a good one? Let's do Kilrog. Let's do Heartseeker. You can select, like, only me, that way it flashes, it pulses, whichever way you want to do it, or both, when Heartseeker's on you. That way it will pop up and give you a lot more notice of, hey, this thing's throwing something at me, and I'm going to spawn bloods in my raid if I don't move. You can even make a sound with it, like I said before. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. There's a whole lot. At a later time with the workshops, I'm going to actually take time to get into specific add-ons rather than just show you, like, hey, look, that's working. Rather than just show you a general idea of them. But tonight's more just, here's some things that you should probably play around with and start working on, because they will help you a lot improving your game and reacting to things better. But let's see here. I'm going to pop over to the Twitch chat real quick and open up for questions on there. If you have them, just type them in and I'll try to get to them. So I'm actually on the chat now. If you feel so inclined, feel free to ask questions. There's the nameplates that I use are part of LVIS. There is tidy plates as well. I'm not super familiar with that. I don't believe tidy plates and LVI actually play well together, though. However, like you have to use one or the other. I think. I don't think you can actually use both. But the nameplates that you saw on my screen were LVI. Um, is there any other questions by chance that people might have so I can answer them? If not, I'll probably just cut it off here. Like I know it's not as much information on this one, but oh, damage meters. Okay. Oh, let's see. For damage meters, not just damage meters, but everything with that, like healing meters, so on. I end up using SCADA. Some people use Recount. The reason I use SCADA is it honestly is less resource intensive. I've had times where Recount just makes me lag like crazy. It's not very fun. So that's why I end up using SCADA. But with them, you can get into all kinds of cool stuff with it. This kind of goes back to the log thing. Like on this fight here, it was just a little ad outside, but you can break down like all the abilities that I use. You can use this to actually kind of analyze yourself too. Like on it, I just use flame shock and a bunch of random, not random, but like passive abilities. My molten earth, my trinket, lava burst, lightning bolt. You can see the damage that you're doing with them. These are useful things, especially for anyone, because if you die, you can go into deaths, and it'll show you like an actual log of your death. You'll be able to see, how many heals you got within a certain amount of time, the damage you took. There's all kinds of things you can search on it. It records a bunch of fights, and for SCADA, you see here you have like buff up times, you see breakers, DPS, damage taken. There's all kinds of stuff on it. You can check interrupts to see who all in your group is interrupting. If you have an interrupt rotation, for example, the other night on Sokothar we had where it felt like interrupts were being missed. All we had to do was go in there and look. We had 4 people assigned interrupts, and all they had to do was see who had like least interrupts, and you can get an idea they're probably missing theirs. You can break it down with like enemy damage taken on a boss. It'll show you each enemy that's listed, and you can select just that enemy for damage and see who was actually on top of it. So for like Gorfiend, or let's use Archimond instead, for like the Doomfires, those are important to die. If you go in there and you had have Doomfire under here for that fight, if it was there, and if the Archimond was there, I mean, and you would just like Doomfire, and you could see who all the damage to it. Like here on this one, it's just me because I'm the only person in this group right now. But there would be a long list of people, and you could see who was doing the most damage, who was doing the least, and see if anyone's slacking or what's happening with it. There's a few others. I think there's something called details. Yeah, so you guys are actually talking about that now. There's details. There's recount, like I said, which it still isn't a bad one. Recount. It's just SCADA is less intensive on your computer. Um, let's see. So, are there any other questions? I'm back looking at chat at the moment. I'll hopefully get a second monitor here soon so I can do this a little bit more effectively. I just have not had the funds. So, would there be any other questions by chance? For RAID frames, I actually use Grid. That's honestly, I think, just out of habit at this point. I've used Grid for many, many years. There are RAID frames on LVI that you can customize. I haven't looked into them a whole lot myself. I'll actually show you what they look like. Uh, Let me see here. Unit frames, RAID frames, and enable. Should be somewhere. I had to reload my UI for it. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing them. As you see, this little box here that I'm moving now is the grid. Let me see if I can get my LPUI ones. I'm not. Actually, I might have to go back into the raid for it. There's all kind with setting up your guys. Some things only trigger when you're inside of a raid instance. Some things only trigger when you're in a group. There's all kinds of different things that they set them up to. And that's probably what it is. I'm not in the actual raid. So I'll go back in. I've gone in here like 4 times because of this. As you can see, setting it up can be kind of annoying. It's reasons like this, because you have to do certain things to simulate what you're doing, and that's exactly what it was. If you look at the left side of my screen, there's raid frames there. The UI, you can do all kinds of stuff with them. You can move them all over, just like you can grid, like I'm doing, or like I was doing. You can change the size of them. This is the other thing with LVI. Like, you can literally move everything. If you push the toggle anchors, you'll see a grid box here, and you'll see every aspect on my screen. I can move whatever I want wherever. You can customize it entirely, which is another reason why I like it. It's easy to set up and move things to where you want to. And I actually went in there for a reason. So I'll move my raid frames over here for a second. That way I can start messing with them. Yeah, you can make them huge, you can make them small. And apparently that moves them on me, because, you know, why not? The reason why I like Grid, though, you can set up all kinds of different things with it. You can probably do this on these, but I'm not certain. But, like, buff indicator. Not quite sure what that does exactly, but it's probably similar to what I'm going to show you on Grid. Grid, you can set up. I have Grid Corners Plus, I think is what it's called, to give me extra corners. Let me go ahead and move my grid out. Like if I'll go ahead and give a buff for Earth Shield and show it in the. Wait, no, wrong spot. So for my top right corner, when I'm resto, if I put Earth Shield on something, it will show on my grid a little colored box on the top left or top right corner. I'll show you in just a second. Like if you see here, there's this little green box. It just lets you know that I have Earth Shield on them. And if it's not there, I know, well, Earth Shield's not on them anymore. Which, if you look at my UI, it actually shows there as well. Hey, could actually maybe get into those. Like if you see right here at the bottom left corner of my LVI, it shows a little 9 with little box as well. So that actually shows me I have 9 stacks instead of just this showing that I have stacks somewhere. So that's actually kind of useful. But setting up good raid frames, especially as like a healer, is a good thing. I like it for everybody in the raid. Like I'm not a healer on most of my characters. I DPS a lot, and I still enjoy having the raid frames. Granted, some of it's probably because I'm actually dealing with raid leading and whatnot. But um, I can get to know who dies. That way, if you're somebody that knows most of the mechanics of a fight and knows that somebody has a specific job, like interrupts or something, and you see that for whatever reason they died, and you're able to actually do their job, you can see that and start stepping it up. So hopefully your raid isn't wiped. Trying to think. Alright, I'm gonna tab back out real quick and open up for more questions. So, got a few more minutes here. We're going to be doing, I think, the fun run tonight, so I'm not going to run into that or anything. But, does anyone else have any other questions? Judging by chat, not moving. I'm assuming nobody has any other questions. Oh, wait. Oh. Oh, I've used Bartender before, and I just felt the LVI bars accomplished literally the exact same thing, and I didn't have to have another add-on for it. One thing when you're using the add-ons, though, like be careful to make sure that they're not, really resource heavy. You can kind of check how much memory and whatnot they're using. If you hover over your little, it's not a computer thing anymore, is it? The game menu part. Like if you look at my screen, my idle memory is 43.17 megabytes. The biggest thing is LVI, and the second is Exorcist Raid Tools. They both are pretty large, but I don't really use a whole lot other than them, so I'm not too worried about that at that point. But like I said, recount can get up to about the same as LVI if you don't purge the data from it a lot. It is again why I don't use it as much. Oh, it does, doesn't it? Yes, on LVI actually, if you use this, but if you don't use LVI, you can use the game menu wherever you have it on your screen to see your add-on memory, and it shows you like the top 3. But LUI, if you hover over the FPS button, it actually shows you all of your add-ons and what is it's all doing, like which ones are causing the most memory. So depending on your computer, it might be a good idea to turn off certain ones like Auctionator and stuff. That's just something that I use for auctions. It makes posting a little easier. That's something that really is not a necessity at all for rating or anything like that. The main ones that I'd say for rating would just be like a boss mod. Raid tools from Exorcist is very good, and weak auras are like the main ones. Those will help you a ton. It takes a long time to get actually really used to them and use them completely effectively. And honestly, I don't even do that myself. Like I can definitely stand to learn more about them. And anyway, the next time we do this, I will probably, I'm not sure if the exact next one is going to be covering a specific add-on or not. I might jump to a different topic for a while. But at some point, I'm going to come back through and do more specific ones with weak auras and Exorcist raid tools and give like a more in-depth guide to using them to set them up a little bit better. Tonight was just more of an overview to get people thinking about their UIs and stuff, and how to lay them out. I mean, some people might want to lay out the UI completely different than how I have mine set up right now. Mine's just set up to how it works better for me. Um, like I said, I like to have everything in like the center. You might be a person like I've seen people who have their health bars and stuff over here. They don't use anything in the center. I've seen ones where their healing is just way off over here to the side. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable with that just because my eyes would not be focused on my character then. I feel like I'd probably die a lot more. But there you can change it however you see fit, and you'll probably mess with it for weeks on end before you get it to a point where you actually just stop messing with it and decide enough is enough and I'm happy with it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and I will catch you guys next time.